What's your favorite running gag in any D&D campaign? Leave yours down in the comments below. Our wizard accidentally fireballed a party member who was in the AoE. When he was told of his mistake, he said, "So, how's your dex saves?" Now, whenever someone gets in the way of an AoE spell, they say, "So, how's your blank saves?" We're pretty casual about light metagaming at our table, and whenever a PC asks another PC their HP, they dramatically say in character, "If I had to put it to a number, I would say 44 out of 76. My players wouldn't look under a desk rug to find a secret hatch to a dungeon. I described the scene in a way that put a bit of emphasis on the rug. A hint I gave them was that they found a receipt from the library in a drawer saying the baddie had checked out a book called Secret Bunkers and Where to Hide Them. The players went to the library to check out that book, which describes how optimal it is to hide a bunker under a rug. The librarian told them it's a very popular book, and now, whenever my players see a rug, they check under it to find a little hatch. I had a returning character, Halbert the Sorcerer. He was supposed to be just a throwaway NPC. However, due to some PC rudeness, he became a party favorite NPC, and one of the big bad evil guy's high-up henchmen. He threw one of the PCs off the castle roof before the final fight. 'Twas a great time. We have a half-orc NPC who's a pickle vendor. He shows up in markets and offers us a pickle for a copper. If we eat one of his pickles, we have to make a constitution save. On a fail, we're temporarily poisoned. On a save, we're temporarily immune to poison. We once made a joke about awakened creatures having intelligence and therefore needing to get jobs. Someone photoshopped a Yeti with a briefcase, tie, glasses, and a teeny tiny Starbucks cup. Now we keep making jokes about certain monsters with intelligence worrying about their 401ks. Our druid player loves bad puns, so I made it canon. Druids communicate in plant and animal puns. Yep, that's what Druidic is. Common with puns. No normal sentences, only puns. It's not like you need to learn another language to understand Druidic. Every sane creature just, chooses not to listen. This is also the reason why druids live alone in the woods. Solitude was a choice, but not the druid's choice. So every time they meet another druid, the session turns into severe brain rot. I love and hate it so much. This ranger finds it unbearable. Very first encounter in our campaign, we were ambushed by goblins. Well, we killed all but one of them and questioned it. When asking about how many goblins are at its camp, it said it could only count to 4. So I asked, "How many groups of 4 goblins are there?" Now, anytime we count something, it's in groups of 4. One of the first suggestions for our party name was 4 + 1. The players went to Acheron, basically alternate hell, and brought back a lich that was defeated centuries ago. But since he died, his soul was damaged and he can't use magic. Also, he's crazy, so he's basically a sadistic child that they adopted. The party talks about using him as a shield since he resists mundane damage, wanting a nanny cam for when they leave him at the base, and needing childcare to babysit him. So we have this trio we call Team Rocket, because the campaign takes place in a stagnant location, and the trio were turned into outlaws by unjust circumstances. As such, they've resorted to petty schemes, but nobody can stop them because they're a full frontal assault party. A level 8 Goliath Barbarian Berserker, a level 8 Lizard Folk Barbarian Totem Warrior, Wolf, and a level 8 ASMR Paladin Oath of Redemption. Now the worst part? They're completely self-sufficient. The ASMR took advantage of real-world time setting to learn carpentry and turn a cave into a hideout. The Goliath knows the area like the back of his hand thanks to mapping out tunnels, and the Lizard Folk, Well, they can automatically get them enough food and materials for a group twice their size even in a tundra. Their last escapade resulted in them stealing an actual magic cannon from the village, and now no one knows how to handle them. The random passerby. This started happening whenever a player made an out-of-character comment or a comment to another player who wasn't in the scene. But then, the Metagaming pigeon appeared on CR, and two players just went all in on it, cooing non-stop, which annoyed everyone else. And so, the random passerby and the MGP were killed off because the cooing drove everyone nuts. I have a dwarf NPC who just walks around in the most insane places you can imagine. He just does that. Walking. So my PCs are suffering through the Underdark, and they suddenly hear steps. It's the dwarf, just passing by. They kill him and find nothing on him. About 10 or 12 sessions later, inside a giant worm in the middle of nowhere, trying to exit the intestines labyrinth, the dwarf is back. And it just keeps going on and on. We're in another setting now, and next session, they're in for a surprise. I'm just walking here, piss off! Well, there's a ton of them, honestly. In one campaign, there was a Minotaur fighter who was disgusted by milk because, in his tribe, milk is only for babies. So seeing anyone drink or use it was disgusting to him. None of the PCs ever drank or ate anything with milk, and when we did a part 2, a different setting in the world, different characters, we continued to avoid the milk. In another campaign, my character has constantly been called a fish. I play a water genasi warlock who lived in the ocean for the most of her life, and her adoptive father is a merfolk. It doesn't help that, if you can't tell, I am a Pisces. So a nickname I've gotten is just Fish. So, despite her always saying she's a water genasi, everyone calls her a fish. My favorite moment was when my warlock and the Tabaxi PC went to a castle to deliver a message to an NPC, and the guard said, there's a cat and fish out here wanting to talk to the NPC. This one hasn't happened in a while because the player had to leave the group due to scheduling, but his character was a skeleton cleric of the life domain. It became a running gag that whenever he tried to eat or drink, he had to roll an Arcana check, since skeletons obviously can't consume food or drink. Oddly, he'd succeed the majority of the time. My favorite moment was when he rolled a nat 20 to sneeze on a guard knight, and snot came from nowhere. Now, whenever we visit that castle, the knight basically gets PTSD. The cleric would also try to cry, and after successful Arcana checks, he'd manage to do it. We have a monk who keeps pulling off the "you're already dead" line from Fist of the North Star every other week, and it's great every time. Now technically it's a Pathfinder 2nd edition game though, high five. In 5th edition, my favorite running gag is my archaeologist character who has the Indiana Jones inspired flaw. I'm afraid of a common animal, and I see them regularly in my work. This one's afraid of pigeons, and it's hilarious every time it comes up. Every time I have a broadsheet one-page newspaper with the goings-on of the campaign, it smacks the wizard dragonborn in the face. Every single time. It doesn't matter where they are. At one point, I even said, "It's the strangest thing. There isn't even any wind, and yet that broadsheet hits you square in the face." Ow! Why does it keep hitting me in the face? A clumsy pig farmer has a pig for everything. I run with special inspiration points, fate points from Fate RPG, and tied to the campaign's gods, that can get you advantage on rolls or change a minor plot point. The players have used said points to change the farmer's other animals to smaller or bigger pigs. In one instance, his cart was pulled by massive pigs instead of oxen. When they used the fate point, I said, "You see his cart is being pulled by the biggest pigs you've ever seen. Come to think of it, it's always been this way, and it makes more and more sense the longer you linger on it." Anytime a caster in our party casts a ranged spell, if it crits or kills, it always hits the dick, especially if the spell deals radiant damage. A lot of my campaign notes start with how many dicks have been microwaved through radiant damage. Oh, about 10 years ago. Oh God, I'm old! The players tried to ambush a goblin camp by putting multiple glyphs of warding on a horse, then releasing the horse toward the camp. I had them make an animal handling check, this was 3.5 edition back then, to convince the horse to run into the camp, and they failed. So it just ran into the woods, never to be seen again. I've been joking and threatening them about it ever since. One day, when everyone forgets about the horse, it'll jump from the woods in the middle of an encounter and blow everyone up. Drog. The players joked it was a different name for kobolds, kind of like greenskin for orcs, or pinky for humans. One of our players has said kobold, and I made it canon. Now, they're a bunch of bumbling buffoons running around saying a bad word, thinking they have the pass for it. Oh God. One player thought it was the name of an in-game monster that they ran into because they weren't paying attention, so that made it doubly fun because they said it twice as much, not realizing the implications. Now, there's no real downside to it, but some NPCs do think they're the D&D equivalent of white trash, while others lecture them on the social rudeness of it. It's actually caused some NPC pearl clutching and hijinks, but it's all in good fun, of course. Drog, or dragon dog, because one of the players was the only one who avoided infection from the moon rat's bites, which causes illness. Since all the other players got sick, he loaded them into a cart and hauled them to the nearest church for healing, joking that the kobold was his dog that he was taking to the vet. So he went to the priest and said his dog was ill, and it just kind of spiraled from there. DM had a wandering redneck merchant who always sold us a bunch of junk that inevitably contained a way to access his shop. In our pirate-themed campaign, it looked like a pistol, but conjured a portal that went straight to his shop. I found this out by going through the box, finding the pistol, and being a rogue artificer testing it by shooting it out over the sea. Well, a portal opened out there, and we heard some screams, one of which was, "Woman, did your fat butt break the commode again?" Hearing that, I moved the portal onto our ship, and we proceeded to sell and trade. I still miss Mr. Mo Lester's Emporium. Jesus Christ. DM had to quit due to scheduling reasons, and yes, I realize his name and the implications. After a random encounter with some hobgoblins in a printing house many campaigns ago, a player asked what hobgoblins would want with a printing press. Thus, the Hobgoblin Press Corps was born! And at some point in every campaign, there will either be some form of hobgoblin-run publication, Hobgoblin News, Hobgoblin Times, Hobgoblin Gazette, Hobgoblin Journal, or the party will encounter a hobgoblin journalist asking them for a quote. "Can you tell us about that time you killed my people?" Well, actually, no, I can't. Hey everybody, Brian Von VA checking in after the vid. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, ring that bell, and let us know in the comments below, what was your favorite running gag in any D&D or Pathfinder campaign? Also, if you'd like to make a quote for our Hobgoblin Journal, all you gotta do is head on over and join our membership. You get early access to videos and maybe some other goodies too. Until then, we love you all. Please be safe, happy, and healthy. See you next time.